Hey there, guys. This week I'm going to show you some strategies for finding all of the important information or multiple main ideas, not just one, in text. Often teachers will have you look for the main idea, but most of the time authors have more than one. There may be one central one, but there's often more than one main idea to find in a text. So to start, I've already identified step one, which is to find the topics. What is the article or what is the text about? And before even reading, you can sort of scan through the document and find some of those topics. So I've already gone through here and highlighted what I felt were words or phrases that would give some sort of hint or clue as to the main topics. So I have playing video games. I thought this might be important. It says good, clean fun at first. So the at first is a hint to me that something is going to happen second. All right. Here, my keyword is addiction. Down here, I have rebuilding a life. So that after seeing that after addiction makes me think about someone recovering from something. Here we have a plan and then one step at a time, which is a common phrase that you hear for people who are recovering from different types of addiction. So with that, I can write my topics over here just so I have some annotations or notes to start with. So I've added my topics over here, and I'm now going to go through my first reading. I'm going to search for and highlight what I think are important details related to those different topics. I will not make you read this with me. So I've gone through and put in a bunch of highlighting, and then I also took notes. You can see all throughout the text. And the next thing that I'm going to do is actually look for some connections. As I was reading and taking notes, I noticed that there were some common ideas being shared throughout the text. So I'm going to go through and code them now. All right, so I've gone through and I looked at all of the things that I highlighted, and I used a different color highlighter to code these, I'll call them categories, these patterns or connections that I found between the annotations. So anything I found related to characteristics of video game addicts, I highlighted in pink. So a few things you can see, they were all men. All of them had some sort of negative thing happening in their personal life. The one talked about having bad hygiene. They have few friends and little social life. They haven't built relationships with people. And they were all sort of neglecting their responsibilities and focusing on nothing except for video games. Another connection I found was a lot of information about the recovery process, the steps in recovery. So those I highlighted green. They talked about how long the program took. The video game language was something that they tried to take out of their lives. Down here it talked about the particular program, how they would learn to do daily activities like cooking, things that would help them fulfill their responsibilities, build relationships with people that they know or family members, accepting their problems. All right, and down here they go into detail about the plan that they create and what they look for the patients to do as they're released from this program. Last thing I highlighted or noticed connections was causes of addiction. So a lot of the article talks about addiction in general, and those things I highlighted in blue. I noticed this idea of looking for an escape came up a lot. Like I said, all of the guys who had the video game addiction were dealing with certain problems in their personal home or family life, and they were looking for a way to deal with those problems. And video games were an escape for that. They talked about the importance of why someone is playing the games, not just looking at how often. How do you separate, just a video game hobby from an actual addiction? When can you pinpoint when a person has truly become an addict? They give all of those details in the middle there. So now that I have these topics and I have patterns and connections in details, I can start to determine what is the main idea, but what are the multiple main ideas? What are all of the important messages coming out of this article, not just the one main idea? So once you have found your central idea from looking at those details, I found that there were sort of two things together. If I look at the title, I see clearly the topic of video games, but if I look at my highlighting, I have a lot of blue there and a lot of green, and these things all related to addiction. So I decided that video game addiction, right? That is going to be my main topic or central idea. So from there, I need to ask myself, what about video game addiction does the author want the reader to know? I've identified the central idea here as people with video game addictions are a lot like other addicts. They're looking for an escape from the problems of their life and lose control of themselves along the way. So this is definitely capturing the main idea around addiction and video game addiction in particular. It also captures that idea of looking for an escape that was really reiterated throughout the article. But this does not capture all of the other things that I noticed here and that I highlighted within the article. So, in trying to determine what other important information is in there, what are some of the other central or main ideas of this article? So I'm going to do something just like what I did here for step 3, finding the central idea, but I'm going to look for topics that weren't necessarily focused on the most, but just focused on a lot. So I went through the last step here. I found the important subtopics. The two that I identified are the ones that I had up above. They're in the pink and green. So the characteristics of video game addicts and what recovering from video game addiction looks like. So if I look for a central or main idea around those two subtopics, I came up with the first one is that while video game addicts were all looking for an escape from their home problems, they were also all male, they lacked strong social skills and relationships, and they had trouble filling their responsibilities. And then for the recovering from video game addiction, I found that recovery required the video game addict to first accept their addiction, and then they had to devote a lot of time to gaining different coping skills, improving their life skills, building relationships with friends and family, and then recognizing if the video game addict behaviors returned, so they would be able to stop it. So, in these steps, I hope it doesn't look like too much to you. It certainly felt like more to me because I did a lot of reading and highlighting here, but these are the steps that you want to follow in order to find not just one main idea, but all of the important information. And before I end this, I just want to point out the next step here, if you think you're ready to go to the next step. And that would be trying to find a connection between your central idea and these other important subtopics and the ideas behind them as well. Some questions you could ask include, how do these ideas build on and support each other? Why would the author choose these subtopics to support the central idea? What do these three main ideas tell you about the author and the author's relationship to the topic? And what details or important information has the author left out? So I would love to see you try this strategy this week in any of the reading assignments that you get for one of your core classes. I'd hate for you to have to read something in addition to what you're already reading for your different classes. So hopefully you can find something there that you can use. If not, I will post some articles or texts that you can choose from. Of course, if you see something else that you want to read, you can always check with me, and that one might be okay as well. Good luck. Remember, you can always message me or check into my office hours if you have any questions. All right, good luck.